All right, Central Florida kicking off to South Carolina State in the second half. Coach, the mood in the locker room at halftime.
Not bad. You know, anytime you're still in the game and you thought that, you know, that you could always be out of a game like this, and you're kind of happy now. You know, we felt like, you know, there wasn't a whole lot that they had available to us offensively. You know, they were playing good on defense, and we didn't get a lot done there. But, you know, we thought that we'd be able to get in here and maybe find a point or two somewhere.
Malcolm Long, the little pass out to Dustin DeVos in the flat, picks up 5 yards. So you're looking at a 2nd and 5 situation. And Will Ford just could not get going. When they needed to make a defensive play, they were able to make it.
No, didn't quite get the block on the edge there. And they did a nice job of supporting the run outside.
Bulldogs having them punt the football. Near and here did a great job punting the football, but it's unfortunate they have one of the best kick returners, punt returners in the country in Joe Burnett.
Yeah, and there were a couple of those punts that we need to either kick out of bounds or let them hang up there a little while longer. Our net punt was not nearly as good as what we would have liked.
Marshall McFadden on the tackle. We talked about Matt Key. What about the penetration coach and the way he got on that?
Matt's made several plays behind the line of scrimmage here, and he's just done a nice job all night here.
Central Florida having to punt the football back to South Carolina State at this point, and this is going to give us some tough field positions. We'll begin this possession on our 13.
And we don't get it out. We end up getting the ball, I guess, maybe out to about the 40-yard line for them, and the next thing we know, you know, they're down to about our 2-yard line. We really didn't get the field turned over there almost the whole night.
Dustin DeBose, another catch to him. You talk about a tough customer, Dustin DeBose, and we eventually, as you said, Coach, turn it back over to Central Florida.
Right, and they get a little bit of a naked series here. This guy makes a nice throw and catch. Yeah, Marquis, I mean, was one finger away from knocking that ball away, but he just didn't quite get it. And they get a toss sweep here, and Tony White comes off and gets after him a little bit and gets him going backwards, and then Dez Benjamin goes, and then the rest of the team then gets him going backwards.
Great pursuit. As you can see on a lot of plays that went wide, Coach, on the edge, the overall team speed, the way we just ran plays down.
Well, you know, they had to find a way because they couldn't get the ball up inside very much on us, so they started running outside, and we eventually got them slowed down there also.
They get down to the 23. Once again, Central Florida knocking on the door, but the defense never gave up at any point of this football game, and the football comes loose, and we recover the football.
This is Keon Brooks and Xavier Littleberry, I think, knocking this ball loose, and we eventually come up with it and get it going back the opposite direction.
The unfortunate thing about recovering there, you start off first and 10 from your own 2, and Will Ford nearly caught in the end zone.
Right. You know, we seem to play this whole half back in the shadow of our end zone, and, you know, we end up punting it out, and you know, it's kind of a line drive, it's kind of punting. He gets it and gets it back down to about the 40-yard line. Eventually, they're going to get it in here.
And, of course, the Bulldogs get some good pursuit here. But, again, nothing coming easy for Central Florida. They did have 4 new tailbacks, replacing Kevin Smith, who, of course, went on to the Detroit Lions this year, first-round draft choice. Central Florida would drive down and take advantage of the field position and ultimately come up with a Darren Daly field goal. So, at the 11:25 mark of the fourth quarter now, Central Florida leading South Carolina State 10-0. Somewhat of a moral victory, but you still have a lot of football left to be played, Coach, and, you know, things still can happen.
Right. They run a little reverse. We ended up getting him out of bounds here. I think Raphael Bush pushes him out of bounds, and you know, we get him stopped there.
Central Florida again. Now, this is, I think this is Murray once again on the carry, gets down to about the 12-yard line, and right now at this point, this fumble comes out, and I don't know if we'll be able to see it on the video here on the Buddy B Show, but we had several challenges, Coach, and I thought you did a good job as far as picking your challenges as they get this one into the end zone now.
Right. We did challenge a spot or two, and we challenged that fumble to be exact, and we didn't get it, but we did get one of our challenges to go through.
Of course, into the fourth quarter now, 17-0 is the score. Dwayne Clark comes in and did a pretty good job for, had a lane there as far as running the football.
Right. We want to get Dwayne in the game, and I really want to get him in sooner, but, you know, the game just was not working out with the weather and that kind of stuff to get a new guy in, another new guy in, so we kind of held off to the end.
That was where it ended, 17-0. South Carolina State losing to Central Florida. And when you look at it, only 5 first downs for South Carolina State to 19 for Central Florida. And, of course, the plays there, Coach, 75 offensive snaps for them, only 40 for us. It's tough when you don't give yourself many opportunities.
Right. You got to convert some first downs. We didn't sustain ourselves long enough to make enough happen offensively, and eventually that came back to haunt us because it wore our defense down in the end.
And, of course, it's very tough for us to come up with a drive of the game because there was not much offense for South Carolina State, but we do have a Farm Bureau drive of the game as we go back into the first half of the football game where we're able to move the football down into Central Florida territory and look for a moment that we may have something going with Will Ford.
Right. We thought we had something going here. We got the ball on their side of the field, and, you know, anytime you're getting the ball down close to that, you know, down to their side, you feel like you can get it in. And, you know, we get a first down there, but eventually they get it stopped, and, you know, we end up giving the ball back up by the punt.
That was our Farm Bureau drive of the game. We will take a break here on the Buddy Pough Show. When we come back, we'll tell you what's up next for South Carolina State and what happened this past weekend in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Back with more in just a moment.